Hi, I'm Joan Craig with Choose Joyful Health, and today I'm so excited to share with you an interview with son Brage from the Aquaculture Stewardship Council. And today we're learning about fish, specifically farmed fish. I'm passionate about this topic because for years I've been interested in nutrition and sustainable food, meaning food that is good for the environment as well as for our bodies. So thank you so much, son, for joining us today.
Hello, Jane. Thanks very much for having me on your channel. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak a bit about AC and the work we do to promote responsible farming.
Thank you. And I think it's interesting, our viewers may or may not care, but I think it's interesting that you're in Paris and I'm in Greer, South Carolina. So thanks to technology for making this happen.
The wonders of technology.
Yes, it's exciting. So one of the reasons that I've been really interested in learning more from you about farmed fish is that for years I've been choosing wild caught fish, and I've been coaching my students and clients to do the same because I understood about the nutritional benefits of wild caught fish. And I think more and more people in the world want to consume fish and seafood because it's a healthy choice for protein. And my concern is that we can overfish the wild fish. So I want to know more about these options we have for farming fish. So could you share with us what's the big picture about what your organization does?
Yes, it's a very good question. Aquaculture Stewardship Council, the AC, is an international not-for-profit organization that was founded in 2010. And we manage a certification and labeling program for responsible farming. We want to transform aquaculture, both in terms of environmental sustainability and social responsibility. And the reason for this is that aquaculture is actually the fastest growing animal food production sector in the world. And already approximately half of the seafood that's eaten worldwide, including the United States, is farm raised. So as you see, aquaculture has the potential to feed a growing global population, and with less input compared to other animal protein. It has a lower carbon footprint than pork and beef, for example. But this rapid growth can also have adverse impact on the environment as well as on local communities and for workers. So ASC, as us, we set standards for responsible farming. We have an on-pack logo, which helps consumers choose responsibly farmed seafood when they do the grocery shopping. And we also have a chain of custody standard, which that's a traceability certification, and that ensures that AC certified seafood can be traced back, all back through the supply chain.
You gave a lot of great information there. So a couple things stood out in what you said. One, that 50% of the world's seafood, and can we say seafood and fish? Seafood encompasses both, I guess.
Yes, yes.
So 50% of the world's seafood is already farmed, but we just don't know it because we're not asking. It might say on the label when you buy in this grocery store or in the market, you can ask, but in the restaurant, we really don't know unless we ask.
That's correct.
So, and then the other thing you brought up was this traceability. I think that's really important. And that's one of the things I teach people is know where your food comes from, but especially for animal proteins. So in my brief research, which I apologize for not knowing more, but what I understand is there's different types of fish farming or seafood farming, and it could be a situation where the seafood is, or wildlife, marine life, I guess we call, is actually in the ocean or in a river or in a lake, but they're contained, whether it's through some type of net or some other type of thing like that. So that I understand is one. And then there's another model that might be where they're actually in a pool or something man-made, and there's probably other ways. Could you talk about the different types of farming that are out there, and what are some of the benefits and challenges of those types?
Sure. So aquaculture, just to go back to the basics, is the farming of fish, crustaceans, mollusks, aquatic plants, algae, and other organisms. So there's a range of different types that can be farmed. And the methods that you mentioned can range from mariculture, integrated, and recirculation aquaculture systems. And what does that mean?
Yes, tell us.
So mariculture, that's the cultivation of marine organisms in seawater. It's usually in sheltered coastal waters or offshore waters, and they use the artificial enclosures. So for example, floating netted pens for salmon, you mentioned, or racks for oysters. And one of the benefits is the bivalve aquaculture, for example, does not have to rely on feed. They can just feed themselves through living in the seawater. But it can also have impacts. Escapes can happen, and fish and bivalves are vulnerable to disease when they're exposed to the seawater. Integrated aquaculture, it uses the byproducts, so the waste from one species, and it's recycled to become inputs, fertilizers or food, for example, for a second species. And this is a very sustainable production methods, as you can understand. Because
what's that second one called?
Integrated.
Integrated. So you're taking the okay, to be blunt, you're taking the waste.
Yes.
I don't know if they pee and poop fish, I guess they do, and feeding it to something else.
Yes, often it can be used as fertilizers, for example, but in some instances it also can.
Oh, so fertilizer would be to grow plants?
No, it's for other species. So
do they do that in the wild anyway?
No, I don't think this will happen. I don't think this will happen usually in the wild, but I think this.
That sounds interesting. Anyway, but keep going. So first one was the
mariculture. That's
mariculture. They're in the ocean. They're in a pen. So if I have salmon, you heard about Scottish salmon.
Yes.
I think that's grown that way. They're in the ocean. They're in a pen. Is the farmer feeding them?
Yes, they are feeding them.
But they also can eat some things that come through the net?
Salmon in general would rely on the feed that's fed. Because they are the small fish, so the other small fish would not, coming through the pen, so they are reliant on the feed.
Okay.
Bivalves, such as oysters and mussels that hangs on wrecks, for example, they just feed as they would naturally feed, in the wild. It's just that they're contained on the wrecks, and then they can be harvested easily by the farmers.
Stop me if I get us too off track, because you say something, it makes me make another question.
No.
The bivalves, the oysters and mussels, what do they eat? I
think they feed on small planktons usually.
Okay, plankton. Okay, so this is an odd question, and you might not know the answer. Are any fish and seafood vegetarians?
Yes, some of the fish are vegetarians. Tilapia, for example, that's one of the species they have. They are fed on not on animal, so they can be fed on. Tilapia,
they were only farmed. There's no wild tilapia, right?
I believe there's wild tilapia.
Oh, there are. Okay. Okay, so anyway, I'll get you back on track. So we've got the Mari, and then we've got the integrated, and then
the last one I mentioned was the recirculating aquaculture system. It's the so-called RES. So that's when you'd recycle the water, you circulate it through filters. So you remove the fish waste and the food, and then you recirculate back into the tanks. And that saves on the water, and the waste can be used in compost. And in some cases, it's treated, and it can also be used on land.
Interesting. Now, the middle one, the integrated, are those usually in natural waters, or are those in pools, or could it be both?
I believe a lot of them are in pools, yes.
Okay, interesting. Wow, so a whole new world. And